not only for the season, but in specific games this year. They come out of nowhere. So if this is ever a 20-point game and you flip channels, we will know, and we do not advise it. The first semifinal has Milwaukee in the black and Cleveland State in the white jersey. And look out for DeAndre Golston, number 4 for Milwaukee. And Tejon Lucas is number 3 for the Panthers. He is a transfer from Illinois. There's a hard drive. That layup won't go down for Josh Thomas. So the first possession for Cleveland State, the 1 seed, trying to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2009. What do you like about them, Chris?
They're super physical, Jason. They are the most physical team in the Horizon, both offensively, defensively. This guy right here with the ball, all downhill, wants to drive, wants to punk you. They are really tough, and it starts, Jason, when you play against them. You've got to be able to match their physicality.
You're talking about Torrey Patton, who we spent some time with earlier today, and he is the nicest guy in the world, but he plays rugged on the court. Inbound from Craig Baudouin, a senior out of Chicago, and Whitney Young High School, same school that provided his head coach. And that 3 goes down very early for Cleveland State. Not a great three-point shooting team, but they've got the lead on that 3 for Demoy Hodge.
And a guy known as a perimeter shooter, Jason, has not shot it well of late. Had a 46-point game earlier this season, 10 threes. Has not shot it well, but an early start here. Look at him.
You got 2 5s on his jersey, and he's got 5 in a row for Cleveland State to open the ball game, and that is one of the loudest benches you're going to hear in college basketball all year. Kick ball. Have you ever seen anybody as excited for a kick ball?
I've never had to lay out because the bench is making too much noise. But how about Demoy Hodge? Bangs in a 3 and then gets out in the passing lane. Dennis Gates, a disciple of Leonard Hamilton. A lot of man-to-man. Again, really physical.
They take heavy pride in their defense. Leonard Hamilton calls it the junkyard dog defense that they play at Florida State. As Brown scores, Courtney Brown Jr., a sophomore out of the state of Minnesota for the Milwaukee Panthers. Downstairs under the basket, Trey Gomillion was denied by the rim, and here comes Josh Thomas, a senior out of Chicago. This is a fairly old starting lineup for Milwaukee with 3 seniors. That's a nice cut, but Brown missed it from 5. Patton, floater, no. Everybody wanted the and 1 for Cleveland State. No whistle came. Lucas for 3, no dice. It's going to be a wild game. You get the feeling early on. The follows there for Deontay Johnson, the talented junior.
It is. And, you know, Milwaukee plays at the fastest tempo in the Horizon League. You know, but the problem against Cleveland State is they have so many finishers, and they'll play at any style. I mean, that's the other thing about Cleveland State. They can morph into whatever shape the game takes.
We saw them get a second chance bucket here. They're a very good offensive rebounding team.
Very good offensive rebounding, very good downhill. Again, they're not a great perimeter shooting team, but what they are good at is they have good balance. They got a number of guys that you have to game plan for and stop, and then they're going to put the pressure on you at the basket. A little like that guy right there, Tejon Lucas.
Well, Lucas comes off 3 straight games of 20-plus offensively, and you got to figure if Milwaukee's going to win this game, they're going to do it with guards.
Well, the thing he's done in the 2 matchups this year, Lucas, as Patton bangs home a 3. You know, Lucas has gotten to the foul line. He's really a dynamic guard, Tejon Lucas, Jason. He's really good in ball screens. Not a great perimeter shooter, but you have to respect it. But he gets to the foul line.
And that is a massive erasure from Demoy Hodge. I mean, you see it early on. Cleveland State very physical.
And they challenge everything. You know, It's a team of guys who were under-recruited, who feel like they've been slighted in some way, and they play with that chip on their shoulder.
Dennis Gates, our head coach in his second season, couple of years now as our Horizon Coach of the Year. The headline for me from him, he said they've not been given anything, referring to all of his players as a whole. As that's denied at the rim, Amir Allen has it sent back, and here come the Vikings again. Catch and shoot. Baudouin, no. Offensive rebound is out of bounds. Deontay Johnson stepped on the end line.
Out of bounds, and the basketball.
Well, Cleveland State, they lost a game to Ohio 101-46 on December the 6th. Then a week later, 1 week later, they played Ohio State to a 6-point game. Talk about resiliency. If we were in the building, that ball would have been in your hands, Chris Spatola. We are not, sadly.
We are not. I'll tell you who is, though. They can get you in a number of different ways. On the interior, they can drive you. They've got perimeter shooting. They play offense the way it was intended to be played. And they're going to be tough to beat. You know, they get into that WCC conference. I think we forget how good they actually are. They are as good as we thought they were at the start of the season. Nothing has changed.
What Mark Few has done off of what was originally a team that upset a Minnesota team that was shorthanded in the NCAA tournament. It's become a dynasty as Cleveland State and Torrey Patton have an 8-point lead and just bullying Milwaukee to the rim. What do you need to see from Milwaukee offensively?
Well, they run a million sets, Jason. And sometimes I think they confuse themselves with what they're in. You know, when you got to simplify it. I mean, get the ball to Tijon Lucas, allow him to create.
Or allow a volleyball match to break out for Amir Allen playing one-man volleyball at the rim.
And that's a good way also to manufacture offense from a guy who, this is what Amir Allen does. He's a junkyard dog. He's not really an offensive threat unless he's doing this on the offensive glass or unless he's setting ball screens and rolling to the rim. A blue-collar kind of guy, and you're going to have to need those in a game like this against Cleveland State if you're Milwaukee.
Well, you can see why Amir Allen's nickname is Rampage. That was an individual rampage at the rim. He's now 0 for 4 from the floor after that possession, but he's got his second free throw coming up.
Is that a nickname out of kindness, or was there an incident in which he got Rampage as the nickname?
It seems out of love, and never has a nickname. Like, you see these nicknames, and you say, I wonder what that means. And then you watch a possession like that, and you're like, okay, I get it. So Allen's going to come out after expending all of that energy on one possession. And he'll be replaced by Tafari Sims, who Pat Baldwin, his head coach, said would be very important in this game. A junior forward, as there's a chance at the rim that goes wanting for Gomillion. Another deflection right at the sideline. Grant Coleman had it pried away, and this is out of bounds. Boy, Cleveland State's really engaged defensively. As you see, Pat Baldwin, the former Northwestern Wildcat, in his 4th season. He is still Northwestern's all-time steals leader. And we have movement on the sideline. They're going to say it's a turnover.
You know, being strong with the ball is a key when you're playing against this Cleveland State, and he does. It's a good call. That doesn't get called enough, the shuffling there on the inbound. And Milwaukee turns the ball over the fewest amount of times in the Horizon League. They're the best at taking care of the basketball. But even in an arena with no fans, you've got the physicality of Cleveland State, a bunch of grown men getting up in your stuff. And then you've got that bench that does not sit down. I'm telling you, Jason, one of the most remarkable things I have watched on film all season long is Cleveland State's bench.
Well, Monmouth's bench got so much publicity a couple years ago. If Cleveland State makes the NCAA tournament, America's going to fall in love, as that pull-up jumper is good for an 8-point lead for Cleveland State, and these guards have played pretty well so far, Baudouin and Gamillion. No good for Sims. Baudouin, who just had that last make for Cleveland State. Here's a guy who his only other offer was to play at Alaska Anchorage. There are a lot of guys who've been at a couple of different stops for Cleveland State, but they have really rallied behind Dennis Gates, who is a tremendous motivator in his second season.
Tell you, weather-wise, that's a tough choice. Anchorage, Alaska, or Cleveland?
Well, I mean, if you want to have a day that is just filled with sunlight and go watch a midnight sun baseball game, Anchorage might be your choice. As Sims goes right down the boulevard and missed it at the rim and then got a foul for his troubles. What do you think of Dennis Gates? We were talking to him this morning.
I think he's a stud. And I don't say that about every coach. You know, Dennis Gates was the last Division I coach hired before the 2019-20 season. He took over for Dennis Felton. There were a host of issues. There were academic issues. Most of the players entered the portal after the coaching change. Dennis Gates called a team meeting at 9 p.m. the night he was hired. There were 4 guys at the meeting: Patton, Johnson, Deontay Johnson, and Eichelberger. We're 3 of the 4. The 4th is no longer here. And he just grew this thing organically. He started with academics. He started with, setting his own standards with this program. He got the guys into the classroom. He's an outstanding coach now. And wherever he ends up, he's going to do a terrific job. And it starts, if you talk basketball, Jason, it starts with him on the defensive end. This team is disciplined. They're sharp. They pay attention to detail.
Jamoy Hodge got back beautifully on defense to deny that shot, and it's stripped away underneath by Baudouin. Hodge, the pull-up, and this is out of bounds to Cleveland State. Jamoy Hodge came out of nowhere to defend that break.
He really did. Look at the chase. He comes from that wing closest to us. And when you're making plays, and that's, look, that's not unusual for this team, that type of extra effort play.
So Allen comes back in. Amir Allen, who has a couple of double-doubles in his last 3 for a Milwaukee team that lost 9 of 11 before winning their last 3 right now at the right time in a Horizon League that has seen 1 seeds get toppled year in and year out. Patton wants to go to work, and he's denied. Boy, Cleveland State's right in everybody's pocket defensively, Chris. Josh Thomas, senior guard for Milwaukee, created his own shot for his opening 2.
And you said it there, against this defense, you end up having to create a lot of your own stuff. Because they take you out of what you want to run.
Eichelberger, who had that big shot in the quarterfinals, turns it over. Here is Thomas at breakneck speed for 2 more and 4 in a row for Thomas. Tell you what, Milwaukee's taken a couple right crosses early on, and they're hanging around.
And it's nice to get some stuff in the open floor. When you're having some problems against the half-court defense, it's nice to get some layups in transition.
Oh, they're going to get an offensive foul as Patton was bowling in.
Josh Thomas And this Milwaukee defense here is actually kind of nice. And then all of a sudden, here's this Cleveland State bench that just will not stop. It's incredible, and you got to love it.
I mean, it is everything we missed in Champ Week last year. And these automatic bids, as that layup won't fall. Allen again on the welcome mat for two more. Amir Allen has been throwing elbows in the first half.
Oh, he's matching the physicality. I don't think Milwaukee did that at the outset. I don't think they were at least prepared to do that. But they have certainly come alive here in the last 5 minutes.
Deontay Johnson, a great defensive post player. Catch and shoot, Podwan. Off a tough catch and shoot from deep at the wing, and Allen has another rebound. That senior from New Jersey, Amir Allen, has been outstanding so far down low. You said it, matching the physical presence. And there he is with a rim run and a hammer. And now he got undercut at the rim, and you hope he's okay. Amir Allen has been massive for Milwaukee to come back and tie this game, the 8th seed.
Well, they're starting to work defensively. A good contest there with a shot. Here's Amir Allen doing his work on the glass. And then this is the other way he scores on that screen roll game. Now, this is a guy who has been playing really well. He's averaging 10 points and 9 rebounds in their last 4 games. And they, it's not a strong team up front. He is really their strength.
That's one of those plays, by the way, Chris, that I wish hanging on the rim didn't catch as many technicals as it does, because that could have saved him a possible injury if he thought about hanging on the rim there. As Patton misses the 3. Third chance won't happen, and Milwaukee on the move with the senior guard Thomas. And 2 hands on a player will always be a foul. Oglesby up high, but man, Milwaukee, last time they were in the NCAA tournament was 2014. The big name team that you may have heard about was their 2005 group, which went to the Sweet 16 and lost eventually to the Darren Williams, D. Brown, Illinois runner-up. That was Bruce Pearl's final year at Milwaukee. We have former colleagues all over the place. Bruce Pearl mentioned. Darren Horn, our former colleague, will play his Northern Kentucky team in semifinal number 2 as we have a whistle over on the sideline. They got a foul against Cleveland State, I believe.
They're going to keep 2 guys with Lucas off of any ball screens. He's such a good passer, creates so much offense for other guys. That roll guy is open.
So what do you want to see here offensively?
I love this guy. Again, the ball screen's been good.
Back to the basket, Tafari Sims. Out high, Lucas splashes down at 3.
He's terrific. A terrific one-on-one player. Outstanding going to the basket. A streaky shooter, but when he's got it going, he is dynamite.
Again, he has just been outstanding for Milwaukee. Lucas, the Illinois transfer, the last 3 games as they've won all 3. That floater goes down and beautifully done off the window for Gamillion. Breaks an 11-0 run for Milwaukee. Thomas slicing, found his spot. He had that sized up the whole way, Chris.
He sure did. They recognized the defense, Cleveland State in his zone there. Good job recognizing it and getting into what they wanted to run.
Patton didn't see the weak side defender. Oh, Sims wanted the ball high in the middle of the lane, and they didn't get it there. Turnaround is good. Wow, Thomas, that was nasty. Josh Thomas has been shooting the ball better of late. 5 of his 12 made threes have come in the last 4 games, and that jump shot was beautiful. Offensive foul against Cleveland State, and now Milwaukee enlivens on the bench.
Josh Thomas, I think he started this charge. Josh Thomas has obviously joined the party, and they've got this thing going now.
Would you say he's the Alice Cooper of that bench in terms of rugged?
I was not aware of that. He is absolutely the Alice Cooper. You got the reference. I didn't know if that was going to go over.
I try hard. Sometimes fall short, but I try hard. Lead is 5 for Milwaukee, the 8th seed in this Horizon League tournament, as Sims has an offensive rebound, and he scores for 2.
You know, the spacing, too, Jason, is really spreading Cleveland State out. So these offensive rebounders are one-on-one in there, and they're just winning that one-on-one matchup to the glass.
Pat Baldwin told us that Tafari Sims might have to be big in this game. He's got his first bucket. The young man who was born in Jamaica. As that floater is short, Sims couldn't find it, and a rebound for Milwaukee, up by 7, the largest lead for the Panthers. Sims. Whoa. And a turnover. It's going the other way, back to Milwaukee. That's the type of wild shot that sometimes when people start feeling it in Champ Week, they play a little bit above their normal position on the court, and it either goes really well or it goes like that. Dennis Gates was just gushing about some of his mentors in college basketball. Leonard Hamilton, you mentioned George Raveling as well, who he met when he was very young while playing for Cal. George Raveling was a color analyst at the time, and they've become very tight. Ball loose in the middle of the lane, and that's pancaked away. Now they're going to call the shot clock violation, and that's the right call. The ball was not possessed at the time of the shot clock violation. And so, yeah, you do lose the run out, but that's the right call. Don't you think?
Yeah. No, there's no question. It was good to stop play there. And guy taking that shot, DeAndre Golston, the leading scorer for this Milwaukee team, 0 for 2 to start the game. So, you know, they're up 7, Jason, and they're leading scorer, one of the better players in this league, Golston, yet to get a bucket.
Averaging 17 points a game, DeAndre Golston, a junior out of Gary, and that is going to be an offensive foul the other way. Patton doesn't know what he did, but the problem is that's his second personal.
And that's a foul. And I've been on this all year. That needs to be called more. Every team is running this dribble handoff now, and it almost becomes a free moving screen. And until officials start calling that, where the guy handing the ball off has to be set, it's a tough play to defend, and you put the defense at a real disadvantage.
Especially in the freedom of movement era. As Lucas teed up a 3, and now Cleveland State has a chance to run for the first time in a while, but Milwaukee gets back. Chris Green, a little used post player, has checked in. He only played 8 minutes in the quarterfinal round. There's Green. And he goes down to the deck, and here comes Milwaukee. Thomas loves the pull-up, and the rebound for Patton. Cleveland State, the 1 seed in this league, and that reach-in is going to be a foul. It goes against Golston, who was pleading his case.
Dennis Gates deciding to keep. It was, you can see the foul on the reach behind. Dennis Gates deciding to keep Patton on the floor with the 2 fouls. So takes him out now. You know, for a guy like that, as physical as he is and as powerful as he plays, It's good to sit him down and see where this thing goes the last 5 minutes.
Especially with a tight whistle so far tonight, as that run to the rim falls a little long for D'Moy Hodge. And Cleveland State has gone rather quiet from the floor. Golston's become pass first as Sims is wide open. Nice recovery by Hodge, who crowbarred it free, and a takeaway. Jeremy Sanchez trading paint with Lucas, and this game has gotten up and down ragged in the last couple of minutes. Golston, no. We promised points at some juncture in this game, but we haven't had any for a while. Hodge, tough shot. Whoa.
Well, the shot quality on both sides, Jason, has not been good over the last 3 minutes.
A lot of early jump shots, a lot of jump shots in general. Donovan Newby, a freshman, has checked in off that tip. This goes down low for Thomas off a pinball.
And again, Cleveland State in a zone. And Milwaukee doing a nice job penetrating the zone with the pass. And once again, Josh Thomas doing work. And Milwaukee doing work on the interior.
NCAA tournament games in this site, along with Lucas Oil, Assembly Hall, Mackey Arena, a bunch of different sites around the Indianapolis area hosting the NCAA tournament. I was just thinking about this earlier today, Chris. We were talking to coaches and players. Think about last year and everything that got taken away from all these guys. Northern Kentucky ends up winning the Horizon League, finds out the next day there's no NCAA tournament. It feels like we're stabilized by having the tournament again, doesn't it?
It does, man. You know, I've been thinking this all year, Jason. Like, the games are the easy part. And I don't mean the prep and playing them. I mean, think about all these things these guys have to do away from the court and practice in order just to get to practice and the testing. I mean, the games, when you show up for a game, it's got to be the most mentally rewarding thing that these guys are doing.
Yeah, just to be able to play as Yaheel Hill gets 2 and a foul, a junior out of Cleveland, a transfer from Tallahassee Community College with a big shot here.
And they're searching for offense. Cleveland State, Dennis Gates going into his bench. The guy who, you know, you mentioned it earlier, so much during Champ Week, you hear of a guy who comes out of nowhere with an offensive explosion. Dennis Gates searching for some offense here in this first half.
Yeah, for a team that gets about 70 points a game, they're not a juggernaut offense. They usually do a lot of their work defensively. But Milwaukee leading by 6 as the 8th seed, knocking off Wright State, the 2 seed, in the quarterfinal round on Tuesday with a 2-point win, one of 3 overtime games in the quarters of this upside-down Horizon League. Tijon Lucas trying to extract himself from Baudouin. Oh, come on now! Woo! That was insane from Lucas, the Illinois transfer. He gave it up there for an open look for 3 from Newby.
And that's where Tijon Lucas kills you. I mean, he's a tough shot maker and a guy who can put the ball through the basket. But he is dynamite when he starts setting up other guys and starts drawing attention and finding those other guys.
Eichelberger, yes, for 2 for Cleveland State. Al Eichelberger has been dealing with a foot injury, a knee injury. He's been knocked around all season long, bounced back, and you could see the pride in Dennis Gates talking about his guy who hit the big 3 the other night. as Lucas wraps around and gets fouled. That was nifty to draw the contact.
When he starts going hot sauce, this is when he's great. Little hezzy, and then the fade. Wet. Tough shot. And then he just starts drawing eyeballs. I mean, Gomillion there, Trey Gomillion is helping up, and he's trying to gap up after Lucas hits that shot on the prior possession. And that's when Tejon Lucas, second in the conference in assists, 5 assists a game. Really a dynamic ball handler.
Well, you know, one guy who's watching this game is Kevin Connors. He's going to be in charge of the halftime report. He loves the mid-major top 10, as he does on SportsCenter. The Valley Championship game in the Big South. We'll see what happened with Winthrop. I mean, that team is scary as a possible 12 or 13 seed. And Joe Lunardi as well at halftime. Kevin Connors and the crew coming up in 80 seconds after our first half from Indianapolis. Baudouin cans it for 3 in a 6-point game.
And he's an X factor. Has not shot it well, but that's what his reputation is. Baudouin, a perimeter shooter.
Young man who won a state title at his coach's alma mater at Whitney Young in Chicago. That was back in 2017. Lead is 6 now for Milwaukee. And that is a more open look than it needed to be for Thomas. Allen has another rebound. He has 6 offensive rebounds in this game and a timeout, Milwaukee. So, the Panthers get it back after 30 seconds. Please don't go anywhere.
Well, look, you know, before they lost these last 2, Jason, they had won 4 straight, and we thought they were well on their way to making the NCAA tournament. That's how well they were playing. Matthew Hurt had taken his game to another level. You know, look, if they beat BC, they'd get Louisville for a 3rd time, and Louisville would have to beat them for what would be a 3rd time this year. But I just don't see it. I mean, you know, Duke is not very good this year. To make a run like that, even in a down ACC, that's going to be tough.
That 8-9 game, Syracuse-NC State, is huge for bubble implications as well. That's a play into a possible NCAA tournament line sort of game, as this is knocked away and kept on the sideline by Thomas. Got to hurry. It goes down. They will count it by the naked eye, and then they will take a look and see if it stands. Thomas looked like he loosened it before the backboard turned red. It would be.
This is, of course, champ week. We go home if we lose. So let's try to turn this thing around and be the tougher team, and they were by the end of that half.
I feel bad for you. You never got out of the first round of the Patriot League tournament based on my cursory research.
Talk more about the points that were scored and talk about those individual things.
Well, you were like 14 points a game for your career, which is darn good, as Allen just sort of parachuted that back to himself off the deflection, and a 3rd chance again. That's exactly what you were just talking about for Milwaukee.
They're just quicker, and I think the spacing has spread Cleveland State out, and so these are one-on-one matchups going to the offensive glass that Milwaukee's winning.
There's Gomillion, who had just 2 points in the first half. That was beautiful. He gets him about 10 per game, and you figure he's going to turn it up.
Yeah, he needs to get going. Yeah, you know, he's the engine that drives them, that makes them go.
54 minutes in the quarterfinal. Like, our graphics department is very accurate with that, even though it looks ridiculous. They played 3 overtimes in the quarterfinals, and thank goodness it was Tuesday. They've got their legs under them, but that's a combined 104 minutes from Patton and Gomillion.
And Gomillion was the league's defensive player of the year. So a guy who does it on both ends.
Patton referred to him today as the firecracker of this team, as that is batted into the cylinder. And let's see, are they going to say it was hit by Milwaukee or hit by Cleveland State? It was going to go down. It depends on who deflected that basketball, and they are going to wave it off and say Milwaukee got the hand into the net and punched the ball as it was on its way down. Let's see.
Yeah, good call. Those are the ones where if that was your bucket, you look at the big guy and say, hey, brah, what are you doing, man?
Wow, that is a really long three. My goodness, that's like a 27-foot triple for Torrey Patton. Now the other way. Those are the first points for the leading scorer for Milwaukee on the year, DeAndre Golston. Now Patton, one of the leaders on this team, trying to find himself some space. Beautiful look from D'Moy Hodge, and a foul called as Johnson's going to the free throw line. Cleveland State got a couple of really nice looks in the first 2 minutes of this half.
Well, the official, I don't think, was going to call that till it was a missed dunk. And here's Torrey Patton. You're okay with him shooting that shot. That is not what he does. And then here's a really nice pass by Hodge. Nice interior pass. And again, the official was not going to call that until the dunk was missed. Clearly, it was a foul.
First free throw is good for Johnson, his third point. Hey, Selection Sunday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN and the app. Bracketology, Reese, Jay, Will, Seth, and Dickie V. Sports Center starts it off 5:15. Reese and the guys reveal the field of 68 as the teams are announced. Got to have Lunardi on Bracketology, though. He's a published author nowadays.
What an industry Joe Lunardi has created.
I mean, he is the guy who built this thing. It is truly, truly amazing. And you know he's watching all of these games to see if another one seed's going to go down. Thomas, again, loves the mid-range.
Oh, and look, I love Joe, and I love Bracketology. One of the things that does drive me crazy, though, and one of the things I do love about Champ Week, Jason, is that we're talking about winning teams, champions. We spend so much time talking about mediocre teams, teams that have no shot at winning a national championship during Bracketology, and talking about the bubble. And
another tip out of bounds. Milwaukee, a little mini run here. I agree with you. I like teams like Cleveland State, who beat Wake Forest in 2009. Like, give me upsets.
Guys, come all the way down to the end.
I'm with you. I get sick of hearing about the last 4 teams in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We spend so much time, and for example, you look at the college football playoff, because it's only 4 teams, you end up talking about the best the sport has to offer. And I feel like sometimes, and I get it, there's a market for it and all of that. I feel like we get bogged down in some of these bubble teams when stories, for example, in this league. I mean, the quarterfinal games in the Horizon League were as good as we've had in maybe 20 years.
Yep.
The collection of games in these quarterfinals were phenomenal.
Well, I know SVP and Stanford Steve paid attention as D'Moy Hodge dips in for 2. And then you got the Colonial. You got Elon challenging tonight to get to the championship of the Colonial after knocking off the 1 seed James Madison, much to the chagrin of Lee Fitting. Thomas always looking for that turnaround. Gave it up for Golston. Carving the lane, and that's going to be a block. 2 free throws for DeAndre Golston.
It's a really good drive by DeAndre Golston. A good pass. Thomas trapped along there. And he is, DeAndre Golston's had a really good season. 17 points a game on the year, 5 rebounds. Played at Kent State. Spent a little time at the junior college level. He's been really good for Pat Baldwin. Not a high assist guy. I mean, he is the definition of a scorer, a guy who is looking to put that ball through the basket.
Young man out of Gary, Indiana, who goes 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Golston actually recruited by Cleveland State and then ended up at Milwaukee as the double comes. And a foul called. But talking to Golston yesterday, he said he picked up basketball in part because of his uncles who helped open the 21st Century Charter School that Golston eventually went to. He was, as a young guy, just watching his uncles play basketball and picked the game up and turned it into a Division I star player position on this Milwaukee roster. As Gomillion drops in two. Well, the bench certainly has not given up hope, as that's a near turnover. Thomas again, middle of the lane, and the rebound for Patton. Here is Demoy Hodge on the gas pedal, and suddenly this is a 2-point game. Cleveland State has stormed back the 1 seed here in the second half. Thomas, the response for two. Oh, fun at the rim right now.
Attacking the score. Cleveland State deciding they're going to put a little pressure on here to change the tempo of this game. And Milwaukee attacking it on the back end to score.
Milwaukee last made the NCAA tournament 2014 under Rob Jeter. Cleveland State has only been twice, 2009 and 1986. As a 14 seed, they made it to the third round. Lucas lost it on the way up. Cleveland State lost it on the way back. Who will take over the game in this first semifinal? Winner gets either Oakland or Northern Kentucky in our second game over on ESPN2. Extra pass from the wing, Brown. Oh, boy.
A good extra pass there. They'll have free throws on the other side, but how about my man Gomillion?
Canada, with his dad Walter passing away just a couple of days ago, and you know how important that family is when that news is front page full in Toronto. But Wayne Gretzky, Indianapolis hockey player first before the Oilers and before the Kings, and everything beyond that.
Is Gretzky still the greatest of the great players in sports? Does he still have the greatest separation between him and the rest of the field than any other greatest in their sport?
Oh, wow. That is a really interesting question. What about Pelé in soccer?
I don't know. That's why I throw it out to you. The thing with Gretzky, Jason, if you go to the record books and you look like for example, assists, Wayne Gretzky has almost doubled the next guy in line. And he's done that with a bunch of different records.
That is a great question.
I don't quite know the Pelé record book. I don't quite know that as well.
Yes, we have 30 minutes in between games for it here in the Horizon League. As this is out of bounds off the deflection off of Milwaukee. So 9 to shoot for Cleveland State. Chris, what's changed here in the second half for Cleveland State?
They started changing up their defenses, which I think has given them a jolt of energy, and I think it's forced Milwaukee out of a rhythm. Milwaukee got into a pretty good rhythm offensively by the end of that half.
And now here come the Panthers, who are overall 10-11, 7-10 in the Horizon League, but they've gotten hot recently as they're going to get an offensive foul against Newby.
I mean, losing clothing, or was that?
I mean, is that we have a wardrobe malfunction. That almost became like interpretive dance with ribbons. Lob pass didn't go.
Where it came from. I thought it appeared as if out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, it looked like a magic trick, if we're being honest. It's our first Champ Week magic trick. Thomas on the gas pedal hard, and it's blocked beautifully by Demoy Hodge for Cleveland State, and he nearly palmed it back in. All right, where did the headband come? Where does this come from? From around his own neck?
It had to have been in something where the rabbits are kept also. I just didn't see where he yanked it from.
Was it his own headband that came off and then sort of wrapped around his shoulders? I still don't know. Sims shaking and missed. Rebound for Eichelberger. Cleveland State off a 3 overtime win on Tuesday in the quarterfinal round, trying to get to the finals of the Horizon League Championship in Indianapolis. Patton tries this wing, and that was a little dicey.
Again, that's what you want him doing. If you can get him to take a shot like that, Torrey Patton, you've done your job.
He is one of the leaders on this team, a senior out of Dayton. Sims wants to go. He likes the matchup with Eichelberger, and he spun into him, leading to a foul. Chris, Sims' eyes have lit up 2 possessions now when he's been back to the basket with Eichelberger.
You know, he's one of those irrational confidence guys. He's an interesting player. He's talented, and he's versatile. But he's hyper-aggressive, sometimes to his detriment. But it's also sometimes to his help that he feels that good about his game.
Pat Baldwin recruited him just off the tape. Sims is from Jamaica, and with all the COVID-19 restrictions, travel was not about to happen, although finding any way to maybe get to the island while the United States was on lockdown wouldn't have been a terrible idea. As Thomas down low gets 2 off the window, and he has had a mammoth day so far. Gomillion leans in for 2 and a foul.
I really like this guy. I really do. He plays with such a heart. A guy who had no D1 offers, and he plays like that. A guy who's been slighted his whole career. Can you imagine how that motivates a guy like Trey Gomillion? He was terrific in their quarterfinal win over Purdue Fort Wayne, had 13 rebounds, 8 of them offensive, 6 assists. He's kind of a do-everything guy, the heart and soul of this team.
Dennis Gates referred to him as a non-traditional JUCO transfer. He went the junior college route because he simply did not have offers. And now he's the best defensive player in the Horizon League and a guy who is so important to his Cleveland State team that's the 1 seed in the Horizon. Thomas on the attack and kick. Golston splashes down from the corner.
The patience from this Milwaukee team to work for the shot that they want has been exceptional.
Lucas had a chance, Chris, at his own there. Instead, he gave it to Golston. Now Gomillion with the body, left it short, and he tangles to draw a foul against Milwaukee. There's that heart you're talking about from Gomillion.
Yeah, Cleveland State shifting to a 2-3 zone. Cade Cunningham, for obvious reasons, he continues to ascend. But they got a really good freshman class, Jason, at Oklahoma State. And 2 of those guys, Matthew Alexander-Moncrief and Rondell Walker, have gotten significantly better as the year's gone on. So those pieces around Cade are playing really well.
Tell you what, Caleb Boone over the past couple weeks has been a stud as well for Oklahoma State.
Avery Anderson had a big night the other day. I mean, those, Isaac Likely, Cade Cunningham were the core of that team. And as those other guys around them have gotten better, Oklahoma State has improved.
Second foul on Tafari Sims. Trey Gomillion misses the free throw. A junior out of Augusta, Georgia, who transferred in from Gordon State College, where he was a big-time scorer in junior college. First signee for Dennis Gates in his ad in his second season as Gomillion goes 0 for 2. Cleveland State is 300th in the country in free throw percentage entering today, and we'll see if that bites them late in the semifinal round of the Horizon League. Stellar guards, Lucas and Golston. That is insane from Golston that nearly went down, and they're going to let this bounce out of bounds. It will be Viking basketball.
Now this is a shot that Golston is very comfortable with. He's a tough shot maker. Hit one of those to extend the game the other day against Wright State at the end of that one.
One thing I'll miss when fans are back in the stands is the chatter you can hear. Talking to Amir Allen there down low as Gomillion got shoved aside. And it's going to be a 1-and-1. Milwaukee already is in the single bonus in the second half. So here's a look again. It's 3 on Amir Allen. Torrey Patton, one of the leaders for Cleveland State, their leading scorer and rebounder, has 3 fouls as well. Gomillion's got the first. Two for two. You can learn a lot of basketball phrases just listening to our crowd mic. We're live. I got shooter.
I mean, look, we want fans back in the buildings, but one of the residual benefits has been able to hear pretty much anything the coaches say. It's been very instructive during some of the broadcasts.
Thomas all the way. No, Allen again. How big has Amir Allen been with 8 points and 12 rebounds?
And nobody's moving him. I mean, he's just planting himself in the front of the rim.
And a block there from Lucas on Beaudoin.
Nice pass.
Beautiful thread through for 2. Thomas the finish. Oh, you gotta love that pass.
Oh, I do. Oh, I do. But it starts with the defense, and it has all night, Jason. Really, I mean, Milwaukee defensive.
Piece of the game. We lost Big John earlier this year. Dennis Gates in his second season at Cleveland State, and the importance of the Cleveland State job to him in his heart is substantial, in part because as he took the job, he knew about John McClendon, who was hired at Cleveland State in 1966. McClendon, who's now in the Hall of Fame twice, once as a contributor and once as a coach, was the first African-American head coach at a predominantly white university when Cleveland State hired him back in 1966. And that history and the civic understanding is deep in the heart of the second-year head coach for Cleveland State, Dennis Gates. His team trailing by 11 until that 3 at the horn. It's now an 8-point game as the Vikings continue to try to come back in this game that they haven't led since 14-12. So the first make tonight for Jason Woodrich, who is basically a 3-point shooter for hire off the bench. Floater no good for Brown, and here is Cleveland State, the 1 seed, down by 8. Eichelberger under for 2. Milwaukee yelling elbow, but he got the bucket, and the Vikings are fired up.
Really crafty on the block. Eichelberger has battled some injuries this year, an all-league player last year in the Horizon. He's a below-the-rim guy, but you can see all the shiftiness and the moves he has on the block.
Lucas, big shot, front iron, tipped again, and finally snared by Cleveland State. Baudouin up ahead, Patton. And this is out of bounds, big turnover.
It's big. Hey, this has not been Torrey Patton's night. But here's Al Eichelberger, a guy who was an all-league player last year, has battled a ton of injuries this year, and it's really hampered, the whole first half of the season he missed. You felt like in that quarterfinal game starting to get his legs back under him, but he can be a load. Not a terrific athlete. He's more of a below-the-rim guy. But he's got all the up and unders, obviously a big body.
Made a huge shot to keep Cleveland State alive in the quarterfinal round. A 3 off a bank in double overtime to tie the game. After missing a couple shots like that in previous years. They close out on Lucas, 2 to shoot. Golston, I don't know that he even got that off. This is Sims and a foul called. Chris, I don't know that wasn't a shot clock violation.
Yeah, I thought live it was. But considering...
Trying to get to 500 on the year. They lost 9 of 11 before winning 3 straight as they stand right now. And again, they've had just massive comebacks. They were down in the quarterfinal round 24 points with 6:26 to go. According to Ken Pom, it was the biggest comeback that you're going to see in college basketball this season. Trailed by 14 against Cleveland State on the back end of back-to-back games. As this free throw is good, they're going to say that was not a shot clock violation. And after we saw Iowa-Wisconsin take 19 minutes to play the final 60 seconds because of replay yesterday, I am for replay to get it right. But if you're going to look at the monitor and not say that was a shot clock violation, we got to do better. Lead is 8 for Milwaukee. Top 3 for the freshman Woodridge. Wow.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. They really have 2 perimeter shooters, Baudouin and Jason Rudwich. And you almost, if you're Dennis Gates, you take a flyer on him. You put him in there. If he knocks in a shot, he's one of those guys, he's not going to stop shooting. And if he's on, he can go in bunches.
Well, we talked to coaches around the Horizon League, and the scouting report is when he comes in the game, you got to know where he is. Instant offense, Woodridge. Thomas, again, has been lethal from the mid-range. Josh Thomas, a senior out of Chicago. He won a state title as a freshman at Simeon. Eichelberger and Allen, who's been awesome. Amir Allen got the defense well enough. Eichelberger the miss. The 1 seed line has been so treacherous, with only one seed winning this thing the last 7 years in the Horizon League, as Amir Allen has a career high in rebounds. Lucas, that banks in! Unreal! Now the question is, did he get it off in time? I don't think so live. Again, we'll see. Yeah, Chris, that's another shot clock violation to me.
I have to go see my eye doctor tomorrow. I've been strained and overworked on these shot clocks.
Now they're going to say no basket. However, if there is a Sports Center top 10 for plays that didn't happen, that one goes in the top 10 for all season.
Well, how about Cleveland State banking in a 3 to force triple overtime in their quarterfinal game, and they almost have a 3 banked in on them here to force a 10-point differential. Milwaukee working it to the exact end of the shot clock, looking for offense.
There is nothing better than Champ Week. This is playing for your season and for your career at points. That's a great cross-lane pass and a wide-open three for Baudouin. It's a 4-point game. Lucas the drive. Oh, what sleight of hand. He looked like he was going to pass, and he finished instead.
Well, and I think that's why the defense didn't cut him off. I mean, that ends up being an easier drive than it should have been. A lot of bodies in there for Cleveland State, and I think they thought he was going to pitch it to the corner.
What does Cleveland State have left in the tank? Baudouin wanted another three, punched off the backboard, saved by Gomillion, and we're going to get a foul at the end line. Sims is pleading his case, but man, that's the type of play you were talking about with Gomillion that could change the tide.
Really nice skip pass there too. Gomillion showing you the full arsenal. And then here's this drive, and Gomillion doesn't step in there because I think he thinks that Lucas is going to pitch it to the corner. Uncharacteristic of that Cleveland State defense. And then Gomillion on the other end, just making plays on both ends, gets himself back to the foul line.
Free throw is good. Now, if you're Sims, you lose a little credibility next time you say that you didn't foul somebody, because he, with both hands, shoved Gomillion under the basket. So I appreciate the effort by Tafari Sims, but that was clearly a foul. Trey Gomillion had 2 points at halftime. He now has 11 total. Junior out of the state of Georgia, whose brother Corey played at Mercer, who's right now playing in a championship game of their own tonight. In the SoCon final against UNC Greensboro. This is the semifinal round. Winner gets either Northern Kentucky or Oakland. Brown missed it. Allen again kept it alive, and Milwaukee will have it. Amir Allen's career high 14 rebounds, 10 of the offensive variety.
Well, it's hard to defensive rebound out of a zone because you don't have blockout responsibility. And Amir Allen has taken advantage of it. I mean, he has just found himself in front of the rim all night long. Nobody dislodging him, nobody putting a body on him. 17 offensive rebounds tonight for Milwaukee.
Cleveland State comes in 302nd in the country in defensive rebound percentage, and Milwaukee is feasting tonight. Golston, their star, who's been quiet offensively. Golston, no. Rebound fight, and it's plucked by Woodridge, who's played substantial, important minutes late. Woodridge wanted it the whole possession, and canned it. He was calling for the ball as they crossed half court, and he curled into a three to make it a 1-point game. And a moving screen, an offensive foul going the other way. And here comes the 1 seed Cleveland State.
This was a set play.
That provided walk-in in Memphis is Mark Cohn, by the way, but Beechwood is the Hall of Famer, Jason Woodridge. So, look, he's 3 for 3 from three. Milwaukee only by 1. Cleveland State's last lead was at 14-12. Baudouin had a notion, maybe a couple of notions. Instead, they'll go Gomillion. No! Now Golston. Oh, beautiful.
And that's not good transition defense by Cleveland State. I mean, they had 2 guys back, and Milwaukee gets a run out.
Here's Torrey Patton, their leading scorer for the year. Woodridge has Thomas in his pocket, and they'll get the whistle. Woodrich has been an absolute game changer.
Yeah, it's a foul. I mean, you can't hit a shooter's arm like that. You can't get into their space like that, and he sells it, but it's certainly a foul. You know, this is a guy, he only shot at 29% from three on the season. So for a guy where you say, well, that's what he does, you think he shoot a better percentage. The reason he scares you is because he's A, capable, and B, he's going to keep shooting. I mean, he'll take some crazy shots, but you lose sleep at night with a guy like this because he can get on a heater like he has.
Yeah, 10 in the second half, rapid fire, as he's basically becoming a Major League Baseball starting pitcher as he walks behind the mound for a moment. Woodrich goes 2 for 3, and Cleveland State is within one yet again, under 3 to go in the second half. The winner gets either Northern Kentucky or Oakland. Some pressure on. And they'll trap out of it. Skip was there for a moment. Instead, this is Thomas. Doubling back, mid-range again. He has been cashed from the mid-range all night long, Josh Thomas. Oh. Offensive rebound, Patton tiptoeing, tight roping, and he'll go to the free throw line. Wow, that was some soft shoe right there.
But it all starts with a Jason Woodrich flyer. How about this guy? You said it. It's been the mid-range. You know, he kind of probes, then he gets to his spot, rises up. And then this off the offensive rebound off the Woodrich shot. Have not called Torrey Patton's name a lot, but the first team All-Horizon guy has been great late in games.
He took it very personally. His head coach said that he was left off the Horizon League all-conference teams last year, Patton, and now he builds himself into a first-teamer this year. And Torrey Patton, a quiet confidence, draws Cleveland State within one. Yet again, the tantalizing 1-point deficit that has been the word of the moment for the Vikings. Oh, some really hairy passes the last couple possessions from Milwaukee. Golston spinning and scoring.
Talking about being good late in games in this pressure. You know, it's affected Milwaukee getting into their stuff, but they've been able to get it to that mid-range and been able to get some good looks.
Milwaukee usually so smart with the basketball, tough to turn him over as Patton gets to the rim and scores again. 90 seconds to go, another 1-point lead. Pat Baldwin in his 4th season as the head coach over on the sideline. Former Northwestern Wildcat trying to get Milwaukee to the NCAA tournament. And in this semifinal round, he'll use a timeout with a couple remaining. And with 1:13 to go, Milwaukee by 1. And Pat Baldwin
with this team at times during the year, but their efficiency over the last 6 to 7 games has been really good.
We'll see if it's Golston, Lucas, and Thomas, dangerous guards as well. Here is Lucas on the pull-up. Will he get his own?
Oh.
No, it's punched ahead. Brown couldn't corral it. And this for the lead from Go Million.
What a punch ahead here by Baudouin. I mean, that is a winning play. And then a great job by Hodge to chase it down. And how about this guy? Karma, 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 Go Million. The Go Millionaire. What a job.
I mean, this young man had 2 in the first half. for a Cleveland State team that their head coach said they have not been given anything. That is part of their fabric, part of their spirit, and who they are. And now Cleveland State has a 2-point lead. Lucas is fouled by Hodge. Now Cleveland State has a couple of fouls to give, so no harm there as Gomillion, their firecrackers, says Patton, talks to him. You heard somebody yell, they're just going to the paint trying to drive. And that is not inaccurate.
It's not a bad strategy.
Lucas couldn't turn the corner. Golston got the flyby and missed the shot. Rebound for Hodge. And we got a timeout, Cleveland State. Their final timeout. Look, Cleveland State's last lead before this one was at 14-12.
And the emotional centerpiece of this Cleveland State team.
I tell you what, he can break windows with that stare, by the way. The fire coming out of those eyes. Games under 4 points or in overtime, the Horizon League is third in the country at more than a quarter of the games. And here we go again with 3 quarterfinals going to overtime and beyond. In the semifinals, it's a 2-point game, and Cleveland State with the ball, and they will run from the end line. The inbound is a long ball, and a foul eventually on Gomillion, who's just a 62% foul shooter and is 5 for 8 tonight. This is 2 free throws coming for Gomillion.
At the line for the Vikings, 5. Terry Gomillion will have 2.
Got the first. Man, all night long, Milwaukee was pushing this Cleveland State team, leaning into them. Thomas with 24 for the Panthers, but Cleveland State late. A couple of big plays, including that punch ahead by Baudouin, as that's a miss, and the rebound for Brown, and they'll get a foul against Cleveland State. Now that's a foul to give, so no free throws coming for Lucas.
And you don't need 3, Jason. Like, I'm a guy, drive the basketball, put the pressure on Cleveland State to guard you and make a decision. You could always get an and one. Drive the basketball, extend this game, especially with how poorly Cleveland State shoots free throws.
Lucas, the pitch out. Thomas for Lucas. Corner. No. Rebound Cleveland State. And a free run for Baudouin. Maybe to the finals. Golston. No. Offensive rebound, Allen to Brown, who's undercut with 5.2. It's going to take an absolute miracle for Milwaukee, though, as Cleveland State has come back to a 5-point lead with 5.2 to go.
That was on the Vikings 35. Deontay Johnson is first, the 7th on the team.
So now you got to make a couple of free throws here and then hope Cleveland State either throws it away or misses.
Cleveland State has no timeouts, so they have to inbound the basketball.
This is a 1-and-1 for Thomas, a 63% foul shooter. He's been awesome tonight for Milwaukee. He's got the first. Still a heartbeat for the 8 seed out of the state of Wisconsin, as Golston will come out. Newby, the freshman, is back in. Second one is no good. Rebound Cleveland State, and a foul, and that should do it. Man, what an effort late by the Cleveland State Vikings, the 1 seed, to sidestep a major pitfall as Amir Allen did everything he could on the boards, but Gomillion and the Vikings looked to be too much.
They've got a champion's mentality, don't they?
You can feel it, Chris. And that kid you saw on the sideline, the freshman Woodrich, was enormous. Three threes in the second half.
Well, you called it at the top of this. You know, Champ Week is going to bring out some heroes that you may not have heard about all season long. And they're going to go to this final because of Woodrich.
That is absolutely the case. Jason Woodrich, who had made 23s all year, obviously a very talented shooter.
Look, they wear it on their chest. I mean, a lot of these guys have been slighted. And the thing about them is they're not reliant on one guy. It's what makes them tough to stop. They got a lot of different guys who can hurt you, but they have a collective toughness and a collective championship DNA. And that was certainly on display here tonight.
They will bring in the big guy, Mabor Majak, who got them a steal at the end of the third overtime in the quarterfinal round to defend the inbound at 7 feet tall and make it difficult for Milwaukee, who burns their final timeout with 3 seconds to go. And for Pat Baldwin in his fourth season, this was a game effort after winning 94-90. Greg Campy, that game will come on ESPN2 30 minutes after this one finishes. Another tough inbound. Lucas, no. Cleveland State comes back for a late lead and a surge to the finish line. Chris Spatola, they will go to the finals tomorrow.